Stephanie. I learned about this group at the craft and art fair last Sunday. I think you were the gentleman at the
Yeah,
table.
yes.
Yes. And I told Sandy about it. She said she knew all about it, so we're here.
Okay. Thank you. And tell me your name again?
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have Ernie, Jerry Lara, Ernie Brood, Jerry Lara, Captain Paul, Rita Wolper, Diane Morgan, John Warner, and then another new person who's coming here just for this week, right? And you want to pass the mic to her, please, and just say hi?
I'm Sue and I'm from Minneapolis and I'm with my friend Mary.
Mary Antrim is here and these are friends of hers.
She
And
brought us.
another friend, Diane, who's over in the corner there. Diane.
I'm Diane and I'm from South Dakota and I'm also a good friend of Mary's.
And then we have Mary Antrim, Bill Smithson, who hasn't been here for a while and is back. Thank you. Francis Rowan, Liz Murad, Jean Roth, Barry Koblenz, Drew Reichman, and myself. So here we all are, and let's get started. My opening words today are from Maya Angelou.
Anybody have Viagra?
I keep
Want me to put
losing.
it on the other?
I got it.
Okay.
Good morning, Doug.
Morning.
My opening words today are from Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So we have some announcements. Our next Humanist Happy Hour is going to be Saturday, February 15th at Ocean Republic Brewing. That's in Stewart, 1630 Southeast Federal Highway. So again, from 4 to 6. We're planning a picnic for March 2nd from noon till 2 at Woodland Trails Park in Port St. Lucie. That's at 1485 Southwest West Kalmar Avenue. So we're going to provide the sandwiches and the beverages, paper plates, silverware, stuff like that. And we ask everybody who's coming to please bring a side dish. And then we're going to need you to RSVP on our website because we need a head count for ordering the sandwiches and stuff. March 2nd.
What day?
I think it's Joanne, it's Saturday, March 1st.
It's Saturday, March 1st?
I think the Saturday is the 1st. Double check.
What time?
12 to
Noon
2?
to 2, noon to 2. Oh, I got my calendar right here. I'm going to tell you. in a
March
second.
1st is a Saturday.
Thank you. Saturday, March 1st. Okay. So what you need to do, this park has a pavilion, it has a playground, it has plenty of parking, it has restrooms, and you just need to bring a dish. You need to go onto our website, humtc.org, and RSVP on the events page. And what will happen is if the weather's bad that day and we have to cancel, all you have to do is go to our website and there'll be a cancellation notice there. So you know whether to go or not. Jerry. The address is 1485 Southwest Kalmar, Calmar Avenue in Port St. Lucie. And again, all these announcements will be in our newsletter, which is probably going to go out sometime at the end of this week, this upcoming week. The Community Coalition Opposing Project 2025, which myself and other people have been participating in, is going to be meeting this afternoon at 3 o'clock at the Unity Church, which is at 211 Southeast Central Parkway. We started this work last May to, our purpose was to let people know what Project 2025 was all about. And we had meetings, we spread the word, we came up with action plans of things that we could do to let people know more about Project 2025. And so now after the election and all these things are happening, with the new administration. We are regrouping and trying to figure out what it is that we can do at this point in time and how we can support one another. So that meeting is 3 o'clock this afternoon. And that's it for my announcements. And Drew is going to do our humanist secular moment. Slide this over for him.
Well, good morning. This is I'm filling in for Tony. He got a little sick. He was supposed to be doing the Humanist Minute this Sunday, but this is a little history story that I just found. It's about, you remember in your English class back in English, a poet named Percy Bysshe Shelley? Bysshe Shelley. Yes, well, this is a little story about him. He got expelled from Cambridge or Oxford?
Cambridge.
Cambridge. Oh, you know the story.
Of course.
Okay. Okay. Well, this is the story, and I need glasses now. Even as late as the 19th century, blasphemy was still an actual arrestable crime in England. Simply standing up in public and expressing the opinion that God didn't exist could, and often did, get a person locked up. The poet, Percy Bysshe Shelley, maybe I got it right, Fish, was never one to hold back an opinion. And despite the laws against blasphemy, this included his opinion that God was pretend. While an Oxford student in 1811, Shelley wrote a strongly worded, well-reasoned pamphlet titled, quote, "The Necessity of Atheism," printed up a few hundred copies and quietly scattered them around the Oxford grounds. Just expressing an atheist opinion out loud was enough to set the wheels of British justice in motion at the time. But Shelley went beyond that, arguing pretty convincingly that atheism was a necessary position, the only one that could be reasonably held. Shelley examined three types of evidence: human senses, human reason, and the testimony of others, dismantling each in turn as a valid foundation for belief. Having done so in under 1,000 words, he concluded that atheism wasn't just sound and reasonable, but the only real choice left standing. In one act of caution, possibly ever for him, Shelley left his name off the pamphlet and just signing only an atheist. Well, nobody knew who Shelley, no one who knew Shelley was fooled by this act. Between the mastery of language and the sheer cheeky nerve of it, every finger pointed right at the 19-year-old poet. Within a week, he was hauled in front of the wall of frowns that was the Oxford Council of Deans. When one of the deans asked him point blank if he wrote the pamphlet, Shelley didn't admit it, but he didn't deny it either. As a result, he was suspended from Oxford and sent home furious. Percy and his father, a member of Parliament without the slightest sense of humor, and they couldn't stand each other. And this was the latest development that made things worse. Without Percy's permission, the elder Shelley worked out a deal with Oxford to let his son back in, with just one condition. Percy had to publicly renounce his atheism. Oh, fat chance, said Shelley, or probably something like that, probably something more poetic. At which point he was permanently expelled from Oxford. This exclusion had such a devastating effect on his career that he was forced to settle on becoming one of the finest poets in the history of English language. And that's a little
Wow.
story.
Wow, that's a good one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Drew.
I don't know whether I can get to see it. I may have to stay up here and do this.
Yeah, sit up here. Hang with me. All right. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to Humanists of the Treasure Coast. We have kind of a different format for our meeting this morning. You know, typically we have a a video once a month. We have a guest speaker or two, and we have an open discussion. Open discussion, sometimes we select a topic to be discussed, and we're certainly doing that today. So, but we're going to start today out with a little bit of an exercise. You'll see on our tables, everybody has paper and pencil. And I hope people online also have a paper and pencil. And what we're doing, the topic for today, the actual title is Achieving Immortality. Would we be remembered as we would want to be? So what I'm going to ask you to do is pretend that you're dead. It's going to be harder for some people than for others. But, and your eulogy is being written by somebody else. So what I'm going to do today is give you an opportunity to reflect on what you would like said for your eulogy. What would you like to be said about you after you're gone? And in a memorial service, or in a, probably not an obituary. I'm not thinking of an obituary. Went to college here, lived in Minnesota, you know, what would you like people to say about you after you're gone? So it's an opportunity for you to capture what's important to you in your life now. And I'm going to ask you to write it. Don't say, all right, I'm going to wing this. Write it down. It makes you more committed to the thought that you have. So if you're in the room, please reflect and write down maybe 2 or 3, 4 sentences of what you want your eulogy to say. And then we're going to share that. So take a few minutes. Do you want a piece of paper? Yeah. And what time is it now? It is, we just lost Brian. It's
10:47.
10:47. So let's give it like 6 minutes. Can you write about your eulogy in 6 minutes?
Hello.
Joanne, it looks like yours is done already.
Mine?
You must have done yours.
No.
Start writing. No positive stuff. No negatives.
You can write whatever you want to.
If you want people to talk you down after you're dead, you can do that. Don't speak Skill of the day.
Drew, did you have a question or are you raising your hand early?
Waving my hand early.
Uh, First out of the chute. Okay.
You needed music.
Da, 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 da,
Jeopardy.
da, 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 da.
Can't have that. That's copyrighted.
Terry just said the same thing, and we were trying to figure out what we would play.
I used to use Jeopardy music when I had tests and would play Jeopardy for my automotive students. And so we kind of borrowed from Jeopardy for that.
All right, so we're gonna go one more minute.
Activities after this too? Substitute activities.
No, just one. Yeah. All right. We're gonna start with, I guess Diane wants to go first. Pass the mic to Diane, please.
You're on your own, carry on. I literally don't care what anybody says about me after I die. I don't care about anybody after I die. I'm gonna be on my own adventure with my fellow dead people and having a good time with my fellow dead people. So that would be, just carry on. I would never want a funeral. I never want a eulogy. I want everybody to forget I ever existed. Truly, that is truly it. I have absolutely no desire for any of this. So mine would say you're on your own, carry on.
Okay, thank you for that. We're gonna go to Karen Vana. Karen,
Yeah, I wrote mine years ago, actually. I love to write, so I write a lot. But anyway, this one is called Remember Me. And excuse me. And I won't read the whole thing. An unsettling thought came to me several weeks ago. I was looking through some very old photographs when it struck me. Most people alive today have no memory of them. They look so real in the photos, posing with their loved ones, pets, cars. The intellectual me knows two facts. One, it is a natural part of life. The second is, unless I become a rock star, famous actor, kill somebody, or president, it is inevitable that they won't remember me. Those options are not possible at my age. I will someday just be a photo like the ones I threw away to save the trouble of later generations doing the same. I'll skip around here a little bit. It is an awful thought that 4 generations from my own no one will remember me. I may show up on a genealogy chart if they are into that sort of thing. My children will remember me, I hope, in a good way. I take comfort in that they know how much I love both of them and how proud I am to be the mother of two great children. They might remember all the long discussions we had in person and later over the phone. I hope they remember me, that I was always there for them as much as possible. I never wanted to meddle, yet like all mothers, we sometimes worry ourselves with sleepless nights. Most mornings bring sanity. And then I went on to say, my children will remember the phone calls and all the good things that happened to them and the bad things that happened to them along the way. My son-in-law will remember me as his wine buddy because my daughter's a teetotaler. And so when he comes down to visit, he's so happy to have a glass of Chardonnay with me. And my grandchildren will remember my orange balls at Christmas, the Thanksgiving spinach rolls, the panini sandwiches for lunch, and that I always had meatballs and spaghetti ready for Will. If they should smell White Diamond's perfume, I may drift into their minds. And I went on and on about some of the other things, but anyway, I thought it was interesting that you brought this up, and I had actually written this, and I'm putting a lot of my writings in a little book to pass on to them. That's it.
Kind of, if you haven't figured this out, kind of the purpose of this exercise is to articulate your values, how you would want to be reflected on, and ask yourself, now, am I living that life now? That's the purpose of the exercise, for the most part. So Drew, your turn.
Yeah, so I put four things down. One is not afraid to go first. I think I raised my hand first to prove that. Kept his humor even when things weren't going his way. Found something to say about people that made them feel good about themselves. I don't always practice that, but that's the way I try to act. And lastly, realistic, but found the silver lining in the clouds. That was it.
Thank you. So you got the meaning of the exercise right off the bat. So who else would like to share in the room? Captain Paul, grab the mic, please. It's also a way for us to understand each other's values, so sharing is important.
Well, I scribbled down quite a few things, but now that I've heard what the purpose was supposed to be, I'll just give you the one thing that I think addresses that. And that is that I've always taken Whitehead's definition of philosophy as the critique of our abstractions quite to heart.
I wish I knew what that was.
I'm lost.
I think I've shared quite a few of my critiques with people in this group, and at times feel like I might have gone to some edge where people didn't want to be critiqued. So it's a blessing and a curse to always be the critique of abstractions.
Got it. Okay. Who else would like to share? It's going to be a very short meeting. Okay. Drew.
I can share.
Who said that?
I did. Rich.
Rich. Oh, Rich,
There we go.
please go ahead.
Sure. This was a little bit weirder because I'm one of those who's hopefully a little further away from a eulogy, and eulogies are normally written by other people. So I guess I'd be more interested in what other people would have to say. But I wrote that hopefully something like I always had a warm and welcoming home. Anytime you come over to visit, you could expect a warm meal and a good time playing games or something together. And I love Julie and cats, and maybe spent a little too much time in a computer chair. But I remember earlier as I was trying to think of things, I was thinking something along the line of someone in the room said, "Carry on," because I kind of feel that too. Like, I'm not here. Carry on. I'm done. That's it. Bye. So,
Very, very cool. Yeah, maybe I should have given a little description beforehand about what the point is, but Francis, did you have your hand up? No, I'm sorry. Okay. Drew Reichman.
Okay, I probably got the assignment wrong, but here's mine. I don't know. So first one is respected other people and paid his bills. Was it? It's important. Okay, was a good uncle to his nieces and nephews. Hopefully they will agree. Made the world a little better in small ways and was not a destructive person. And I didn't become the trash collector my mother said I was going to become.
That's a good one. All right. Linda, you're next. Thank you for sharing. Everybody, thank you for sharing. It takes courage. Linda.
Okay. Linda was a late blooming, cautious, free thinker who quietly rejected the norms of being what was expected. She wanted to be remembered as a warm, empathetic listener who spent her time on earth learning, questioning, supporting others. She asked that those left behind think of her as if she's moving on to the next phase, which is unknown to all of us, and maybe is just adding a fraction of a speck back to the universe. And just another thing, I recently, my husband and I redid our wills, and so I'm going to be writing out my wishes because I don't want, obviously a church funeral, which is what right now everybody would expect. So this is an interesting little motivator, this exercise, because I've been thinking of sort of coming out more obviously to my family about my humanist values and that I'm really not a Christian anymore. So I think it might come as a little bit of a surprise to some and not at all to others, but I think it's something that I need to do. So this is a good start for me. So thank you for this motivation.
And thank you for sharing. Anybody else ready to share? Rita, grab the mic. You have it right there. It's all set. It's on. No, it's on. Just talk.
Well, it's interesting. I can see.
Now it's off. You turned it off.
I turned it off.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't e- I
When
don't
it
even
turn,
need
you
a
hold
mic.
down the button.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Technical difficulties. Here we go.
What I find, since I compared myself to how my family has related to my husband. The longer he's dead, the more he's walked on water. I mean, they don't remember, he really had very few bad things, and it was mostly good things. And I can see them remembering me as being outgoing and helping and intolerant of stupidity.
Okay.
But I'm saying, but it's amazing though, the more good people are dead, the more they walk on water.
I have noticed that also. My mother-in-law had a really brutal German father who throughout her life talked about all the horrible things he did. And then he died and he was, what a wonderful man. He was such a wonderful man. And I don't know how that happens, but there's truth to what you're saying. Who else would like to share? John?
Okay, I've noted down a couple of things here. There's not a lot I've done or said that will be remembered. But during the 90s, I had a small role in the development of AIDS drugs. Wrote a lot of the reports that are probably widely read by AIDS researchers. I'm from Tony Fauci on down. And while I didn't really contribute much to the research, my name is on a lot of these reports. So anyone in the future looking at the history of these things will see my name and wonder what I did, why I'm there. But my name is still there, so it'll be, I suppose will be remembered in some small way that way.
Thank you for sharing. Who else would like to speak? Looking for hands on the Zoom.
Go, Bill.
Half read and half.
Oh,
Microphone.
microphone. Bill Smithson is going to speak.
Just talk, don't push
Sorry, I
anything.
didn't see you.
I'll
Don't
have
push it.
re-
No, you're all set. Don't touch anything.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna half read and half ad lib anyway. He was a man that was a devoted husband, father, grand and great dad that educated his children and grandchildren to be accepting of all human life, regardless of race, religion, sexuality, etc. He was committed to social justice in the workplace, community, and the classroom. He was a strong advocate for DEI programs, diversity, equity, and inclusion, to educate and help people identify their biases and how it and how it perpetuates the stereotypes that keep marginalized people down. One of the biggest accomplishments he'll be remembered for would be his work as a diversity manager within AT&T during the late 80s, early 90s, as part of a team that developed their diversity program. It was implemented throughout the United States. And by the year 2000, it had a tremendous impact on promoting and raising the consciousness and the promotion of women, gays, blacks, Hispanics in the workplace. That's about it.
Fantastic. You must be devastated by what's going on right now with DEI. I don't want to open it up, but you know, a lot of good work there. Thank you. Brian Bowmuller, you have your hand up. You can just put it down, you know, just put it down. We'll find the next person, hopefully. Brian. We can't hear you. I don't think your speaker's on. Your mic is.
Sorry, my mute button was hidden. All right. Brian lived his life engaging compassion and reason as best he could at every turn. He loved his family and friends and sought experiences with them that would enhance those connections and better the world. He strove to overcome his indoctrination in supernatural beliefs, injustice against sentient beings, and abject materialism. He served as an influencer for scientific skepticism, veganism, and environmental positivity. His life was imperfectly human, but often joyful and contemplative. He lives on through his writing at goodnessfirst.com and the people in his sphere who survive him, hopefully with a wry smile.
That was beautiful. Wow.
Not bad. I'll have to save it. It's a candidate for my actual eulogy, I guess.
Wow. It's really nice. Thank you for sharing and hopefully inspiring others to share. Anybody who hasn't shared who would like to?
I'll try.
Francis Rowan, you brave soul. Go ahead.
If anything can be said about Frances, it is that she lived her values. See, I can't do it.
Yes. Diane is going to read Francis.
Yes.
I'm hopeless.
No, you're the best.
You're
If
the
anything can be said about Frances is that she lived her values, love and caring for Mother Earth and fauna and flora, speaking her mind for what is good and right and standing up for civil rights.
Yes. All right. Mine is not as eloquent. Diane put me on the spot and I hadn't even really thought about it, to tell you the truth.
Just gonna give the assignment to us.
Yes, I was just gonna make it
I
hard for you,
see.
can make it
I
easy for me.
see.
We can trade seats anytime, Diane.
Yeah.
You wanna trade seats? Okay. Here I go. Joanne Gillespie lived a long life, I hope, lived a long life full of love and compassion for others. Her family was the center of her life. She worked diligently as a volunteer supporting progressive organizations that impacted her community. Short and sweet. I'm sure I could say more, but that's where I went. So who else would like to share? No? Okay, Sandy is going to share. Sandy, go ahead. Oh, send the mic back to Sandy.
Oh, sorry.
Sandy Clay.
Don't push any buttons, just hold it. Sorry. I wrote it, but it's all scribbled up. I just want to say that.
You have to put the mic up to your,
Oh,
up to you.
Sandy learned, very early in her life from Judaic teachings, the concept of tikkun olam, which in Hebrew means simply make the world a better place. And that's really all she tried to, the words that she tried to live by. That's it.
Thank you. Barry? No? Looking at the room, no hands are up. All right. 11:10, this is the earliest we've ever had a meeting come to a close.
But we can talk about other things, like things have happened this week.
Doug's
Yeah.
got his hand up.
Oh,
Look at
Doug, I'm sorry, I apologize. Thank you, Drew. Doug,
Okay, I've got a few things. I'm kind of with Diane Morgan. I don't really want to be remembered as a monument to myself, but rather by the values that I hopefully taught my children and grandchildren. And one thing is to always try and leave a place or a situation better than it was when you found it. To respect nature. Always try and do something in your life. If you can accomplish one thing that will improve the human condition, you'll have made things better. It doesn't have to be big, but it just has to improve the human condition. Try things that scare you. If you're afraid of public speaking, give it a shot. If you're afraid of heights, try and climbing rocks. Try and do something that scares you. It'll really expand you as a human being. Live by the golden rule. Be kind, and more importantly, don't be an asshole.
that's what they're gonna say at your eulogy.
I hope so.
Doug Scott was not an asshole. We are happy to say. All right, anyone else want to share? So we have some more time. If anybody has any other thoughts, there is a lot, Diane mentioned there's a lot going on. People might want to comment and have use this space in that way. We have on our Wednesday night meeting, we have a lot of political discussion. Some people are up for that. Some people are less up for that. So, it depends on how you feel about having that discussion here on a Sunday. If we get into what's been happening this week. Juanita, you have your hand up. Let's go to you.
Okay, sorry I don't have a camera that works on my computer. And so you can see me be expressive. But I do love this exercise and getting to know you all better. And so I feel really obligated to share with you, even though you can't see me. And I feel that I have many of the same things you all have already advocated. Because one of my things that I've done is try to change things. And I do it when I see problems and I try to figure out how to solve them. And it's been a long journey since I'm probably older than many of you. And I have done things like make a library in Pakistan, because sharing books to children, a children's library that they didn't have. And I've been a psychologist all my life, and it's by nature, we try to help everyone. And I have many ideas on how to make this world a better place. And there's just so much I can do. But of course, family is so important to me. And I love my family and have tried to help each member of our family when in need. And we have a family that has a tradition of family reunions and getting together and caring for each other. And I have lots of ideas. I've written books to educate. I have tried to this, and I constantly think every day now, what can I do to help educate the encounter all of the insanity that's going on in our nation. And I wish that we could all work together to do something every day to bring understanding and common sense to the world. And I do believe in sharing oneself with others and making friends and having a good time. And I do love art and try to express art in my life. And I love color and being out in nature. And my message to you all is do something good for yourself every day that makes you happy. And also get out in nature and observe nature, because we see that people out in nature are less depressed and more joyful. And it kind of makes life simpler. When you see nature, things seem manageable, that you could do this or that to help nature. So the world can then be a better place if we all appreciated each other as well as nature. My sermon for today.
Thank you. Thank you, Juanita. Thank you very much. All right, still looking, still hoping. Okay, Liz Murad, we need to give her the microphone.
It's gonna be disjointed, but, okay, I'm saying it's gonna be disjointed. Good morning, everybody. Is it on?
It's on.
Okay, as I said, it's just gonna be disjointed. The topic is, what do I think of myself, I guess? Is that,
What are they gonna say about you
Yeah.
after you're gone?
but first is, why do I think of myself? And that's what I want people to think of me. And sometimes I think well of myself, and sometimes I think very ill of myself. I was born a Catholic, if you want to call it born a Catholic. And it was, of course, was in the convent and had been indoctrinated, well indoctrinated in Catholicism. And it was hard for me to break away. Not that I didn't want to, but it was still hard to break away. It tore me up. And yet I was so relieved just to get out of there, literally get out of the bad habits. And
No pun intended, right?
no, pun was intended. And be myself. I thought I would live a solitary life. I didn't expect to fall in love, but I fell in love with the most wonderful guy in the whole wide world. I don't care what anybody else says. He was wonderful. And he made me be open and laugh and enjoy everything, especially the ocean. Oh, we had fun in the ocean. And just being with him and experiencing him was wonderful. He was smart. He was a psychologist, clinical psychologist, and I was a clinical social worker. And we worked together, and it was always wonderful. It was always wonderful to close the office on the weekends and go out into, well, I'm going to say this. We used to go to nudist camps. In fact, we bought land at a nudist camp and we were going to retire there, but then he died on me, so I had to sell the land. But it was going to be wonderful. So I ended up in an assisted living situation, which is a very nice place. I can't complain about it. Oh, yes, I can, but I won't. And but the saving grace was this meeting every Sunday. I count the days from Sunday night to Sunday morning, until I can come here and just be me. So finding the humanist was the best thing that ever happened to me. Used to belong to the atheist group, but they broke up, and they sort of formed a little group where they ride their bikes on Saturdays down to a park. And I obviously cannot ride a bike down to a park. So I stopped being an atheist. I stopped being a member of the atheist group. So I try to be kind. I try to be brave. I try to be open. And I guess that's how people have to remember me. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Liz.
Oh, and I love animals, especially my dog. I have a dog named Habibi. His name means my beloved in Arabic.
All right. I see that Alice has her hand up. I'm so pleased, Alice. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that I'm a lifelong lab rat, and I think that I really don't want a memorial service or anything crazy, but I hope that the people that I've helped along the way, there's been a number of people that have worked in my company, a number of like high school and college interns that have worked there. I've supported a number of students in various colleges and in local high schools, and I'm hoping that the good that they do in the world will be what I will have contributed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Bill Smithson, you have your hand up?
Yeah, when I was mentioning DEI programs and you had made a comment, I bet you got a lot to say about that. Well, damn right I do. But in fact, rushing to get out of here, I didn't get to read the whole thing, but I was looking at one of the diversity initiatives in the government, in the different departments, all right, was the showing of the Tuskegee Airmen film as their Black contribution to the war effort and to bring, to bring awareness. And I understand that film is no longer can be shown. So the fact that this man has eliminated all the DEI programs throughout the federal government, all right, just goes to show what a critical situation that we're in and what's to come, because he reeks of racism. He's a homophobe, and it's going to have a tremendous impact on education, especially in the red states. They're going to use this now to really, go after. And just so people understand, diversity, as our governor and the president states it, is they think all these diversity programs is to make white people feel bad for past history and transgressions. All right, which is the most stupid, most ignorant statements that I've heard coming out of supposedly enlightened men. All the diversity initiatives and inclusion and equity, all those initiatives, the sole purpose is to raise the consciousness level, all right, to identify biases and help people understand how some of these biases, keep some of our people marginalized. It's not to promote hatred of white people. It is to, like I said, promote awareness, so that people develop a sense of empathy towards all human beings. All right, and it's worked very well within AT&T when we developed and implemented that program. And I know in one of my operations in the year 2000, I had taken an 150 people call center that was run by 12 white managers. All right, and yet the center itself was 50% Black and 50% white. We had no Asians or Hispanics at that time. This was in Conyers, Georgia. And by the time I got finished, and with no problems at all, I actually fired 6 of the white managers because of some of the comments and religious stuff they had posted on their walls and et cetera. But we wound up with a call center with 12 managers, 6 white, 6 Black. I brought in from our LGBTQ organization that we had, or special interest group, and I brought in 2 gay people, 1 woman, 1 male, and all of a sudden the blacks within the organization started getting promoted, but this was just a microcosm of what was going on through the company. When I retired in 2005, the statistics of women, blacks, gays being promoted and rising up in the workforce was really quite notable. But yeah, this by doing these DEI is just to show what we're in for and what a racist.
Yeah, I also read this morning that the Justice Department has removed all of the court records for the insurrectionists, for all the people that were found guilty and sent to jail, and all the court cases have been erased.
Yeah, because they're pardoned.
Erasing history, basically. Drew, you wanted to speak? We need to get the microphone to you.
I just want to kind of take a quick survey to make sure that people enjoyed this. It's kind of different than our usual program. And I think we're going to do something in February also as a group participation.
Yep.
So if everybody can, if you just raise your hand, if you like a group presentation, and if you don't, just keep your hand down. Like.
Okay, we're seeing a lot of likes. All right.
This is like,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
about 2/3.
We
That's
have
good.
them also online, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. All right, anyone else? Ed, you have your hand up to speak?
Reluctantly, yes.
Come on, come on.
Doug kind of encouraged me about public speaking, so kind of his fault. It's just a list of things. I would like to be remembered as someone who tried to be kind and fair to everyone. I'm an animal lover. I have parentheses here, as long as they stay in their lane, close parentheses. I like to quote Will Rogers, who said he doesn't know where dogs go when they die, but that's where he wants to go. That would be a good place.
That's it. I like that.
All that said, I do not suffer a-holes lightly. I'm an appreciator of the arts, good music, writing, photography, painting. I strive to understand science, physics, mechanics. I can fix anything. I'm a reluctant adventurist. I love to laugh. And I'd like to be known as a Renaissance man. I hope I pronounced that right.
Thank you, Ed.
All right.
Very good, thank you. We're gonna go to Drew and then Diane. Drew.
Yeah, in the past, I haven't participated so much in the political aspect of it. Well, maybe a little bit, but there's nothing else you can do right now. With Trump in the White House, it makes no sense to me at all. He's seeking vengeance on all his political foes. He's, as has already been mentioned, he's turning everything upside down, going in the opposite direction. We're going 50 years in the past. If there's been any time that we need to talk politics, I guess it's now. That's all I can see is the news about things he's doing that undermining realistic, intelligent thinking. Unbelievable, unbelievable.
Thank you. Diane.
Wordsworth said that the best portion of a man's life was his little nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and of love. And I think most people agree, from what I've heard, that I don't think most of us need to be remembered for us, but for the things that we might have done. You know, for example, I'm a writer. I would like people to continue to read my books and learn more about dogs or Buddhism or whatever the heck I was writing about at the moment. And on a personal level, I mean, the best day of my life and the worst day of my life was the same day when John and I spent an entire day trying to save 23 stranded whales, and spent the entire day putting water on them, trying to get them into safety, having to euthanize many of them because we could not save all. We could only save 5 of them, and 2 of them later died. And the other 3 are now in SeaWorld doing tricks, but there was literally nothing else that could be done for them at that point because they could not be returned to the ocean. And so I just think that I think a lot of people might agree with me. It's the thing, you hope that what you have done carries on. It's not like, oh, that was such a great person, but oh, my life is a little easier now. And they might not even know why. They might not know what Bill did for them. They might not know that. They might not remember you, but your act, the energy of your act carries on. And I would just like to add a little thing. I'd really like to hear from my good friend, Jean Roth.
Oh.
Come on, yeah.
You're on the spot now. She did it to me. She can do it to you.
Well, thank you very much for suggesting, but I just wrote a few words. He was a kind and caring person. And then I had a lot of time since that only took 30 seconds to write. So I decided that I would just jot down something that popped into my head. So somebody should, I'm sure many of you will recognize this, but it's not original. So I wrote down, once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. It's a visitor, I replied, only this and nothing more.
Thank you. You can just put it down.
Where is that from? That's right, the Raven.
It's Raven, yeah.
I thought they were a football team.
Yeah, but they got knocked out. They got knocked out.
All right. Are there any others?
Nevermore.
Jerry, did you have your hand up?
Be remembered by different people for different things.
For sure. Can you pass the mic back to Jerry Lara, please?
Thank you. I just wanted to add to those of you that like poetry, it's one of my favorite things as well. You might try reading Abu Ben Adam. And if, exactly, and if, and how did you die? Just a few of the favorite ones.
Oh, thank you. Okay, you can just pass the mic up to the front, if you would, please.
It would be my indubitable pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
What was the name of that book?
What was the name of the book? Can you say it? It's a poem.
Well, the book, one of the books I pulled a poem from is called The 101 Most Famous Poems. I carried that all my life since I was a little kid.
Oh, what was the one you were just talking about, though?
Abu Ben Adam.
Abu Benato?
Abu Ben Adam. Abu Ben Adam. And
Poem.
Adam.
Yeah, Abu Ben Adam, may your tribe increase. Awoke one night from a deep
Awoke
dream
one
of
night from a deep dream of peace. Exactly.
Hunt, Leigh, Hunt. You know, he was.
Well, the important part of that poem is the title. It tells you that he was not a Christian. And then in the poem, it says he sees an angel writing in a book of gold. He asks the angel, is my name there? And what is the name for? And the angel says, that's for people that love God. And he said, is my name there? And he said, no. He said, well, can you at least put me down for a person who loves his fellow man? Yeah. And that's the gist of it.
Oh, thank you so much.
All the rest.
Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, have we exhausted everybody's participation?
Can I say one thing about Shelley?
Yes.
I want to add something. I was wrong. He went to Oxford, but I do have something really funny to say about Shelley and the afterlife. Shelley drowned in the Mediterranean Sea. He couldn't swim. I don't know why he decided to go sailing, but he did. And he drowned and his body washed up. And they decided not to bury him, but they decided to burn his body on a funeral pyre. And then one of his friends jumped in and grabbed his heart out of the burning body, wrapped it up in a silk purse, and gave it to Mary Shelley, which apparently she wanted, and she wore it around her neck for the rest of her life. Although there was a bit of an argument as who really deserved Shelley's heart. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing about Shelley ever. So I just thought I'd throw that in.
I hope not.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Yes, Paul, did you want to, oh, wait a minute, Irene.
What was the name of that, the 101, is it most famous poems? What's the actual title of the book?
Yes, 101 most famous poems. That was. All right, the things you learn when you come to a humanist meeting, a meeting at Humanists of the Treasure Coast, more specifically. Paul, did you want to say something?
I don't know. I don't believe in afterlife, but I think, we live on in the memories of those we love and those who love us. And so I hope that I've had an impact on those people. My work was by its nature ephemeral. So, I can't imagine any articles I wrote or headlines I wrote, lasting in anybody's memory, but, try to, especially in my later years, become a kinder person. But I've always, been one who was never satisfied with the status quo. When the thing that irked me the most when I was on a job and they say, well, we always did it that way. I said, well, so we've always been doing it wrong, So, I was always trying to find better ways, smarter ways to accomplish things. And I think I will continue to do that until my last breath.
Good boy.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. We have Captain Paul has his hand up, and as does Liz Murad. I was going to start with Captain Paul, and then we'll go to Liz. It's on.
Well, I don't know any place else where I would ever address this topic, so this is probably appropriate. I have thought about what I would do in lieu of a normal funeral or memorial service. And when I was a child, I lived in South Paris, Maine, out on a back road called Christian Ridge, of all things. And about a mile down the road, there was an old bridge built by the WPA over Stony Brook. And we used to go down there to the swimming hole, almost like the movies, like the Waltons or something. And my kids, when they came along, I would take them there and we would play poo sticks. So we would make little twigs and we would go to the upriver side of the bridge and drop the poo sticks in the water and they would float down. This was an old bridge with wooden planks. You could see the water between the planks. You would watch the sticks go through and come out the other side. And I said, what I would like to do is be cremated and be sprinkled in Stony Brook on the upside of that bridge. And you can't see through the bridge anymore. Modern bridges aren't like that, but you can still see the water come out the other side. And it would kind of be just going back into whatever stream we're in. That's what I would do.
Can I ask what a poo stick is?
You don't know what poo sticks are?
No.
Did you never read Winnie the Pooh?
Oh, no, I've never read Winnie the Pooh.
You put a couple sticks on one side of a bridge and then you stand there and you race. You have one, I have one, and then you look the other side to see whose stick gets through first.
Ah, okay.
It's not real tricky.
All right.
It's highly competitive.
A poo stick. All right. I had a different concept of a poo stick.
I think that explains why I never was interested in Winnie the Pooh.
I had a different concept of what a poo stick was. Juanita, you have your hand up? And then I'm sorry, Liz. Wait, Juanita, we have to go to Liz. Go ahead.
You have to go to Liz, okay. I love poetry and but my taste in poetry is probably not the best. I love poems like the Jabberwocky. "'Twas brillig in the slithy toves, the gyring gimble in the waves. Old Mimsy was more groves in a mome rats out grave." And even though you don't know what the words mean, you know the story. It's a great way of writing poetry. And I do a lot of poetry. I write and I write and I write and I write, and probably no one will ever read them, but I have them. And another poem that I always loved was Annabel Lee. I don't know if you know this poem, Annabel Lee, but that to me was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful poem. "In a kingdom by the sea, there lived a maid whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maid she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. She was a child and I was a child," and so on and so forth. There's I guess I'm a romantic, but I love the idiot poems, the silly poems like the Jabberwocky. I just love poetry. I think in poetry sometimes, and I write and I write and I write and I write, and nobody will ever read them, but I write.
Well, maybe at some point in time you'll be willing to share, because
Well,
I
it's-
remember years ago you were thinking of publishing and we were talking about
Yeah.
how we could get your poetry published, and
But-
then we never did that.
Yeah, but it isn't good enough to be published. It's good enough for me. You know, it's good enough for me. It makes me happy to write. I write when other people talk, I write. And so I have books and books of writings. So if anybody ever wants them, yeah, you can have them.
Liz, I put in chat a paragraph about a science fiction story titled Mimsy Were the Boar Groves
Oh,
that was judged, one of the best science fiction pieces of all time. I read it back in the 70s, and you might find it interesting. I put a piece of description in the chat about it, but obviously you don't have access to chat there, but
And she doesn't have a computer.
What is it
I
again?
do have a computer.
Oh, you
I
do
just
have a
don't know
computer.
what to do with it.
Okay, right. Well, she doesn't have access.
What's it called again?
Mimsy, well, it's the line from the Jabberwocky, Mimsy Were the Boar Groves, and it's by Louis Paget, Padgett.
If you, I have copied it and I can email it to you.
Okay.
I can email it to you, and then
The short
you can
story?
give it to her.
If you could email it maybe to
Oh, the
Francis.
chat item, okay.
Yeah, I've emailed it. I will email it to anyone that wants it.
If you get it to
I have
Francis.
to have your email address, that's all. And what I wanted to say was that we had a very dear friend die about a month ago, and suddenly, and his family, he was very involved in our Audubon house, and so the family said that they wanted to memorialize him and have not a funeral service or anything, but a memorial to him. And they came to our Audubon house, and the room was filled, and they had stories about him and pictures, and it was humorous, it was fun, people were crying, but also it is a way to celebrate a life. And I want to encourage you all that your family needs a gathering for your sake or your friends. And that would be wonderful. And in humanism, we do have humanist service people. And I think Bill, is one of them. But celebrants, yeah. So they can do it, but your family can just do it. I mean, I was surprised. This family just organized it. Everybody participated, including the grandchildren and maybe grandchildren anyway. And they all had something to share. And it was a beautiful way to have a ceremony, but it's not a ceremony. It's a gathering of family and friends to honor the person. And so there's other ways than having a formal funeral, as some of you did not wish to have.
Quickly.
Real quick. All right. You bring up a good point, and I think, Captain Paul, you started it. I think it'd be an interesting topic would be, one, what do we think of death? And what's going to happen after we die? What are your expectations and wishes after you're gone? Example, my family already knows, one, I want to be cremated. I want no outside family members to attend any kind of a memorial. I just want my immediate family, daughters, grandchildren, son-in-laws, etc., to get a beach house and drink and eat and be merry, talk about the good times, and then find a boat, take me 3 miles out and scatter my ashes in the ocean. You know, but I don't want brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, and all the hypocrites that in my family to be anywhere near my family when I go. I hate to say it, but they're a bunch of assholes.
Okay, thank you for that final word, Bill. Yeah, thank you for that final word. All right. Next week, our program is going to be a video. It's philosopher Michael Sandel. The topic is what Trump's election says about American society. So if you want to have some political discussion, it's probably going to be next week. And then Wednesday night, we have our open discussion, open mic on any topic. That's a Zoom only meeting. Does anybody have any humanist sharing moment? Anything going on in your lives you'd like to let everybody else know about? Okay. Seeing none, my closing words are from Henry David Thoreau. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and to see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear, nor did I wish to practice resignation unless it quite necessary. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life, to cut a broad swath and shave close, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. Henry David Thoreau. Thank you, everybody, for your bravery and sharing and for your words, many so wise. And I hope we learned something from each other today and learned about each other today, because that's what I think our purpose is in a large part. So thank you. Have a wonderful Saturday. Enjoy if you're a football fan, a Sunday. I don't even know what day it is. Have a wonderful weekend, I guess. And if you like football, I guess today's a good day for you. So
Have we now thoroughly concluded?
yes, we have. Why do you ask?
Thoroughly concluded.
Yes. Am I missing something? Maybe I didn't hear what you said.
I got it.
Thoroughly.
Oh, thorough. Sorry.
The row, it's a pun or.
It's free, but that's a ways away.